spoke to European Commission President von der Leyen. Did you discuss the 50% tariffs, and did you agree to
She just called me, as you know, and she asked for an extension on the June 1st date. And she said she wants to get down to serious negotiation because I've told you specifically, haven't I told anybody that would listen? They have to do that. And we had a very nice call, and I agreed to move it. I believe June 9th would be, July 9th would be the date. That was the date she requested. Could we move it from June 1st to July 9th? And I agreed to do that. And that she said we will rapidly get together and see if we can work something out.
The president of the European Commission says she had a, quote, good call with President Donald Trump tonight, when earlier this week, Trump called for making goods from Europe far more expensive by adding a 50% tariff to them amid some stalled trade negotiations.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You know, you think of the European Union, very friendly. They rip us off. It's so sad to see. It's so pathetic.
Yeah, I mean, certainly it's important that the president is now delaying these tariffs that he said would go into place on June 1st. But we should also note that the new date that he has put in place, July 9th, was actually the original date. That is the date by which the president's 90-day negotiation period after he lifted those reciprocal tariffs back in April would expire. And so in a lot of ways, this is going back to the original deadline that he set. It did come after this phone conversation with Ursula von der Leyen, the European Commission president. Just the fact of that phone call was significant in itself. These two leaders had not spoken since President Trump took office back in January, even amid all of these trade tensions between the United States and the European Union. So this clearly was an important moment for von der Leyen to talk to the president about some of the remaining disputes between the two sides. And there are some significant differences. You know, European negotiators have been in Washington for the last several weeks to try and strike a new trade deal. From the European perspective, there had been some confusion about what precisely President Trump and the White House were looking for in these talks. On the American side, U.S. officials were sort of frustrated that the Europeans weren't coming to them with what they viewed as serious enough offers, and that is part of what led President Trump to announce that new June 1st 50% tariff, saying that the trade talks were going nowhere and the EU had been very difficult to deal with. The president having quite a different tone after his phone call this evening.
I do think this is a olive branch by the Europeans and Ursula to come to the negotiating table, which is what Trump wanted. And the significant thing, I think the stock market, when it opens on Tuesday morning, remember tomorrow is a big holiday, I think investors will be happy to hear this news because it means that these tariffs that were supposed to be imposed as early as next week, now, if I heard the president correctly, it's going to be another month delay on those. That gives some
July
time for
9th.
negotiation. And so that's good news for everybody. And nobody wants to see those 50% tariffs applied. It is true that the Europeans do apply more trade barriers on our products than we do on theirs. So President Trump wants a level playing field. But I feel very good news about this latest, good about these latest developments.
偷偷告诉大家，我最近发现了新法宝 Royal Face 逆时奇迹系列，它有活肤露、全效精华，还有精华霜。尤其我皮肤比较偏干，所以我非常的注重保湿。保湿做得好，肌肤自然通润。提亮肤色更年轻，抚平皱纹超有感，而且气色变好。用心保养，每天都更美丽。美吧。